There's a bird sitting on the wire above your street right now. Black, quiet, watching. You've walked past it hundreds of times without thinking about it. It's just a crow. But here's what you don't know. That bird may already know your face, not recognize humans in general, your face specifically, stored in a memory that holds for years. If you've ever threatened one, scared one, or disturbed a nest nearby, there's a real chance the bird on that wire has already filed you somewhere, and it may have told the others. This is not a story about a clever animal doing tricks in a lab. This is a story about a type of mind that evolved alongside us, learned from us, and figured out how to read us, while we mostly looked the other way. Quick clarification before anything else, because people mix this up constantly. A raven and a crow are not the same bird. Ravens are larger and wilder, built for open spaces and solitude. Crows are smaller, intensely social, and far more comfortable living beside us. Both belong to a family called corvids, which also includes jays, jackdaws, magpies, and rooks. As a group, corvids sit at the very top of bird intelligence, not by a small margin. This video is about that family. Crows specifically, because crows are the ones on your street, outside your window, in your city right now. They're not rare, they're not distant, they're already there, and they have been for a very long time. That proximity is exactly what makes this worth paying attention to. Crows didn't end up in cities by accident. Cities suit them, and they figured that out faster than almost any other wild animal. Garbage means food available year-round. Tall buildings mean safe roosting with wide sightlines. Streets, parking lots, parks, and open rooftops mean foraging ground with minimal large predators. Human schedules, garbage collection days, school hours, market openings, become patterns that crows actually track and adapt to over time. Watch crows at a busy intersection. They drop hard-shelled nuts onto the road, wait for cars to crack them open, then time the traffic lights to collect the pieces safely. At a certain point, this is more than simple trial and error. They're using the city's infrastructure as a tool, without anyone teaching them, without anyone designing that behavior into them. They're not surviving in cities despite being wild. They're thriving in cities because they're smart enough to treat the entire system as a resource. We ignore them because they're always there. That's exactly the wrong reason. This is where the story changes. Researchers at the University of Washington ran a study to test whether crows could recognize individual human faces. They used masks, one designated dangerous, worn by researchers who trapped and handled the birds. Other masks were worn by neutral observers who did nothing threatening. The crows learned the difference. That alone is interesting, but what came next is the part that matters. The hostility transferred. Birds that had never been trapped, crows that had only observed what happened to others, began responding to the dangerous face with alarm. The information moved through the group. New birds, young birds, individuals with no direct experience of the threat were treating a specific face as an established danger. Years into the study, the same masked researchers could walk across campus and be followed, scolded, and dive-bombed by crows that had never personally encountered them. The group had inherited the threat assessment from birds that were no longer even alive. One individual's experience became the whole group's permanent record. And think about what that actually requires. It's not wariness toward humans in general. Every wild animal has that. This is a crow looking at a specific face, storing it as a distinct identity, filing it as a threat, and that information spreading socially across time and generations. They're not reacting to humans, they're reacting to you.
When a crow dies in a space where other crows live, something specific happens. Nearby birds gather. They call loudly, a structured alarm that pulls more crows from the surrounding area. They don't immediately scatter. They hold around the body, move through the area, and pay close attention to anything that might explain what happened. Researchers have studied this carefully, and the most accurate interpretation is not grief. It's closer to a collective threat assessment. One crow dies and the others turn it into a lesson. The location gets flagged. Whatever is near the body, a person, an object, a specific spot, gets filed as dangerous. After one of these gatherings, crows in the area tend to avoid that location for weeks, and they approach anything resembling the perceived threat with lasting, heightened alarm. They don't just see death, they extract information from it and update their behavior as a group. There's no mourning here in the human sense, and honestly, what's actually happening is harder to dismiss than mourning. A group of animals using one member's death to make the rest of them measurably safer, collectively, consistently, over time. Crows cache food. They store surplus in hidden locations and return later, a behavior that already requires spatial memory sophisticated enough to track hundreds of individual sites across a territory. But the more revealing behavior is what happens when they think they're being watched. A crow hiding food while another crow is observing will frequently perform false caches, going through the full physical motion of burying food while actually hiding nothing. Then, once the observer's attention has shifted, it moves somewhere else entirely and hides the real food there. It goes further. Crows that have previously stolen from other crows' caches are significantly more likely to run deceptive hiding strategies. Crows with no history of theft show this behavior far less. The crow that knows how theft works takes deliberate steps to prevent it from happening to them. To pull this off, the bird has to model what the other bird can see. It has to register that the observer has intentions. It has to execute a strategy, not a reflex, not a fixed pattern, but a chosen action designed to produce a specific outcome in another animal's mind. That puts crows surprisingly close to a level of social reasoning we normally associate with primates. Not identical, but close enough that the gap is worth taking seriously. New Caledonian crows use tools in the wild. They craft hooks from plant stems to extract insects from inside wood, selecting the right material, shaping it deliberately, and using it to reach food they couldn't access otherwise. In laboratory settings, crows have been given multi-step problems where the correct action at step 1 doesn't produce food immediately. It produces something needed for step 2, which enables step 3, and only then comes the reward. Crows complete these sequences. They've also been observed pausing before acting, assessing the full setup before committing to a first move, as if running through the sequence in advance. They also demonstrate what researchers call future planning. When offered a small immediate reward or a tool they'll need later to access something larger, crows frequently choose the tool. They turn down what's available now for something they seem to understand they can get later. This goes well beyond simple conditioning. What you're watching is a mind building an internal model of a situation and working backward from an imagined outcome to a present action. For most of the 20th century, that level of reasoning was assumed to be exclusive to great apes and humans. The crows weren't informed.
For a long time, the assumption in science was straightforward. Birds have small brains, limited cortical architecture, and therefore limited cognitive capacity. The brain structures associated with higher-order thinking in mammals, particularly the neocortex, don't exist in birds in the same form. That assumption turned out to be wrong in a specific and important way. Corvids have a region called the pallium, which performs functions analogous to the mammalian cortex through a completely different structural architecture. Different evolutionary origin, different organization, but strikingly similar outcomes. Causal reasoning, social intelligence, flexible problem-solving, planning. Evolution found two separate routes to complex cognition. One built a layered cortex in mammals, the other built something that looks entirely different in birds but arrives at comparable results through its own path. That makes crows more than a bird story. It makes them one of the strangest known cases of convergent intelligence,
the same destination reached twice from completely different starting points. Most wild animals are optimized for a specific environment, a specific diet, a specific range of conditions. Shift those conditions significantly, and the animal struggles to keep up. Crows don't have that constraint. They eat almost anything. They adjust to almost any habitat, and crucially, they learn new behaviors through observation and pass that knowledge to others socially, which means one crow's discovery becomes the whole group's operational upgrade. This is the mechanism that makes them so difficult to outpace. One crow figures out that a particular garbage truck follows the same route every Tuesday. Others observe. The information spreads. Within a season, multiple crows are working that route. One crow finds a way past a new type of food container. The method distributes through the group faster than any individual trial and error process could manage alone. Living near humans doesn't just give crows more food, it gives them more problems to solve, more variation to adapt to, and a denser social network through which solutions travel quickly. Every shift in human behavior is, from a crow's perspective, a new data set. We have been, entirely without meaning to, provided an environment that selects for exactly the traits crows already had. Across cultures that never contacted each other, crows ended up in the same symbolic space. Harbingers of death, spies, tricksters. In Norse mythology, Odin kept two ravens that flew across the world gathering intelligence and returning to report. Across many indigenous traditions, the crow is the figure who always seems to know slightly more than it should. In European folklore, they appear at battlefields, plague sites, and the aftermath of disasters, drawn to places where something has already gone wrong. These associations didn't emerge from nowhere. Crows follow large predators because predators mean carcasses, and carcasses mean food. They appear where deaths happen, where human activity breaks down, where the edges of things are. And they watch from above, quietly, from a height, with an attention that doesn't look passive, it looks assessment. Humans noticed that watching across centuries, across continents, and built stories around it. The mythology got the explanation wrong, but the unease it captured was real. Every day, millions of people walk past crows without a second thought. A black bird on a wire, part of the background. But that specific bird, the one on your wire, your street, your block, may know your face. It may have formed a detailed read of you based on previous encounters, stored that in long-term memory, and passed some version of it to the birds nearby. It tracks your neighborhood's patterns. It adapts to your presence in ways you are almost certainly not tracking in return. It learns from watching its own kind die. It runs deliberate deception against competitors. It uses tools, plans toward outcomes it hasn't yet reached, and distributes accumulated knowledge through its social group, including knowledge about specific humans, maintained across generations. It does all of this with a brain built on a completely different architecture than ours, through an entirely separate evolutionary path, arriving at results we spent most of scientific history assuming were exclusive to primates. Crows are not the smartest animal on the planet, but they may be the smartest wild animal most of us will ever actually live beside, and we've spent centuries treating them as background noise. The crow on the wire is not scenery. It is one of the few wild minds that has genuinely learned to live alongside us, study us, and remember us, individual by individual, face by face. We just never noticed we were being watched.